but also the possibility for tornado warnings as well. So here's a little bit better list. You want to get into a safe place. As we've talked about before, what a safe place means is you want to put as many walls between you and the outside. So again, this is moving to the east at about 60 miles per hour. Top right corner of your screen, Michigan City at about 10:15. We're already starting to see that lightning. Obviously, this is not a situation we want to go outside. It is after dark. We've been first alerting you to this potential all day long, so please get into a safe place, lower level of your home. North Judson at about 10:21. So again, an unusual tornado warning in that we are going from Michigan City all the way to North Judson with just a single tornado warning that is going to be extending out here to the east. Again, time now 11:14. So these are all Central Time. Most of this is going to be in Central Time. 10:29 in LaPorte, but also Knox at about 10:33 Central Time. That's going to be obviously 11:33 Eastern Time. Down here towards the bottom part of your screen, this just popped up here in the last 10 minutes or so. That is a yellow box. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. At this time, we currently have a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning extending from northern Berrien and Cass County all the way down across Michiana. We're talking about this being an active night tonight, and we are right in the middle of it. This isn't a situation where we're going to be tracking severe weather, tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings until 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Rather, this is the 2-hour window I was talking about at 6 o'clock. We have 2 hours where the strongest of the storms will be moving through. In the wake of this, we may be looking at possibility for some flash flooding. In fact, back behind me here, I'm going to walk in front of the cities, but keep them on the map. You see Chicago already dealing with flash flooding in behind this system. So we're going to continue to monitor what's going on with this entire line as it's moving to the east. Typically, when it comes to tornado warnings, we're looking at individual cells moving through, and they're a lot easier to track. But this line has shown a history of spin-ups all along it. So that's why it'd be much easier to just go in and say, there's the tornado and this is where it's going. Unfortunately, this line, that makes that very, very difficult. That being said, it's a trade-off. Either we're under a tornado warning with strong winds, 70, 75, 80 miles per hour, or a severe thunderstorm warning with winds 70, 75, 80 miles per hour. Either way, the first alert that we were giving you earlier today, hopefully you're able to prepare for tonight for strong winds. That was always going to be the main concern, whether it is tornadic or straight line winds. So again, I don't want to forget about what's going on in Berrien and Cass County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for those locations, but also back down here as well with the severe thunderstorm warning, and in between you have that tornado warning. So I want to leave this up as long as possible, but also give you a look at what we have with the latest radar and show you why those warnings have been issued and how far they are extending off to the east. And you can see the bow echo right here. The other interesting thing that has happened here in the last, I'd say, 15 minutes or so is we're starting to see some thunderstorms kick up out ahead of it. Not only here, that's been going for, I'd say, about an hour, hour and a half, but also right along this leading edge, there are some thunderstorms starting to fire out ahead. Now, that being said, if I turn the lightning on, you can see that the lightning behind it, we got a bunch of activity back up here to the north, and then highly concentrated lightning back down here into the middle part of this line. So what that is suggesting, that is obviously where we're seeing the greatest convection. We're also starting to see the strongest thunderstorms working to the east. The stronger these storms are, the easier it is to push that wind out and get more of a straight line wind event. Now I want to go back and again track out with this tornado warning that has been issued. In overall storm reports, this map is going to fill in here in the next hour, hour and a half as those severe thunderstorm warnings continue to work to the east. Now the leading edge with this system is just now making its way into LaPorte and Stark County. The tornado warning has been up for an extended period of time. And as this moves to the east, we'll go ahead and put it right there, and then move this up here. As this continues to move off to the east, work to the east, not only are we going to see the possibility of a tornado, this is not a confirmed tornado on the ground, but obviously Doppler radar indicating that right along this line you can get what are called inflow notches that could be producing some of the potential tornadoes. Yes, sirens going off in South Bend. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, so I imagine emergency managers are the ones that are in charge of the sirens. That does not mean there's a confirmed tornado. Emergency managers, if the sirens go off, it could be one of two things. It could be a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. Basically, those sirens are alerting you to get to a safe place, no matter what it is. Time to take some safety, time to get into a safe place. So again, bottom left-hand corner of the screen, this is the most important list I can put on the screen right now. I can turn the radar off. I'm going to do that and make sure that we are getting into a safe place. There are a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued. In fact, they've been updated. You got severe thunderstorm warnings, Berrien and Cass County, tornado warning, extending back in between another severe thunderstorm warning that is going to go over to Rochester and Fulton County. This is all moving to the east. So if you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning now, if you're not under a tornado warning now, Elkhart, Osceola, Goshen, Warsaw, LaGrange, talking to you, you will be eventually, as this storm works to the east. There's always that hope that it will weaken, but plan for those warnings to be issued for your location more so than this line weakening. I think we're running out of time based on what I'm seeing with the radar. Go there. Based on what I'm seeing with the radar, kind of running out of time for this to completely weaken to a non-threatening thunderstorm. There is always going to be something in this reflectivity I'm seeing here, this reflectivity that I'm seeing here, that is going to threaten lives and property. The other part of this, I turned this on earlier with the lightning data. Even though we have tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings, there's a number of lightning as well. Lightning strikes, cloud to ground lightning strikes that could cause power outages in and across the area. So if you're not under a warning yet, you have some time to make sure that you know where your flashlight is, where there are batteries, where there are things that you may need if the power goes out. With the number of lightning strikes that I'm seeing, it doesn't take a strong wind gust for the possibility for some power outages to start being reported. In fact, Melissa, if you get a chance, check with the newsroom about power outages, not necessarily now, but give it about 15 minutes with the kind of lightning strikes that I'm seeing back out here towards LaGrange, Berrien and Cass County. Start looking at the possibility of some power outages with the high concentration of lightning, but also and just in general, the kind of storms that have developed out in front of this main line. So in terms of where we are with that tornado warning, again, it's taken up a very large area. I'm just going to isolate the tornado warning so then I can get the list back on there so we can get into safe places. Another part, and I've mentioned this before, that if you're not under a tornado warning, but you have friends or family that are, give them a call. It's possible they've already gone to bed and maybe that phone is sitting right there. Give them a call, not a text, give them a call and say, hey, you're under a tornado warning, time to get out of bed, get in a safe place. We got to make sure that we're a community here in Michiana, that we're helping each other out. So if you're not under a tornado warning, if you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning at this hour, but you have friends or family that live in some of these locations, give them a call. I know you're not supposed to call past 9 o'clock. I think that's the rule. But it's 11:22 on a Monday. We have a storm system that could be threatening both lives and property. Go ahead and be one of those good Samaritans. You never know. It may save somebody's life to give them a call and say, we're under a tornado warning, or you're under a tornado warning. Get into a safe place. This is a very large tornado warning, and I mentioned it earlier. It is a bit unusual for having an entire line under a tornado warning from Michigan City all the way down to North Judson with this tornado warning, again, moving off to the east. And as I mentioned it earlier, it really doesn't matter at this point whether it is going to be a tornado with winds 75, 80, 90 miles per hour or straight line winds. There's still going to be dangerous winds, dangerous elements that we're going to deal with for the next hour, hour and a half here in Michiana. Again, it's 11:23, but this clock goes all the way to 11:55 Eastern Time, North Liberty. I expect this to be extended out past midnight, maybe even 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. Obviously a little bit earlier for Central Time, but this is a situation where the next 2 hours, we're here. I'm here, and we're going to make sure that we can get through this safely with your first alert weather forecast. So again, there's a look at what we have in regards to the tornado warning. I'm going to go through this list one more time. 10:21, Michigan City. North Judson, 10:31. This is going to be Central Time. LaPorte, that's going to be at 10:33. Knox at 10:42 Central Time. Walkerton at about 11:51 back to Eastern Time, and then North Liberty at 11:55. This is the most important thing that we have on our list right now besides these cities. Those are the locations we want to make sure we're getting to a safe place. You heard it earlier today. If you watched us at 6 o'clock, they've actually closed the toll road down to high-profile vehicles, big 18-wheelers, because of the anticipation of this wind and rain. One thing that we're not going to talk too much about because there's a tornado warning, but something that I do want to bring to your attention is that while we're talking about tornado warnings now, if we look at what's going on with this overall system, if I zoom this all the way back out, let me flip through some of these, you'll see that there's a lot of rain back in behind this main line. So we're looking at the possibility of more flash flooding in and across Michiana through the night tonight and into our Tuesday. All those rivers that started to come back down and come back into minor flooding or just kind of swollen, they're going to go right back up with this kind of rain. And this is the flash flooding rainfall. So this isn't the 4 to 6 inches of rainfall over the course of a few hours. This is 1 inch, 2 inches of rainfall in the span of an hour. And that's where the flash flooding can become a really concern. If you're leaving for work, again, time now is about 11:25. Please keep in mind that if you get into work, you may be getting into a situation where you're under a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, and then on the backside, as we wake up tomorrow morning, or if you're going to be leaving work early in the morning, you may be looking at different road conditions than the way it started. That's, again, talking and speaking to the flooding potential with this kind of system. I still have, again, a severe thunderstorm warning for Berrien and Cass County. That's a lot of rainfall. And if you were outside today, you could feel how thick, how sticky that air was. And new tornado warning just popped up as well. That is now going to include Winnemac. So let me go ahead and get the very latest on that. And again, these tornado warnings have to do with these spin-ups occurring. This is going to go until 12:15 Eastern Time. Again, the one I'm looking right down here near Winnemac, 12:15 Eastern Time, and that's going to be obviously 11:15 Central Time. The 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts expected with this, so it is radar indicated, but it is moving very quickly east at about 50 miles per hour. So let me just isolate that warning and give you the very latest on the timing to make sure that we are going to be in our safe place. So again, 50-mile-per-hour speed means that it doesn't take much to get you to that 65, 70-mile-per-hour wind gust potential. In this case, it is a tornado warning. So let me go ahead and put the tracker on here. This is moving at about 50 miles per hour to the east. So let's go right along here. Right there. So at 50 miles per hour, that takes this leading edge, I kind of hedged it back in here, that takes the leading edge of this line, the one that is now under a tornado warning, to the east, top left corner of your screen. So we now have a tornado warning through parts of Berrien County, right up here, Michigan City, LaPorte, but also extending all the way down to the south as well. So if your city is on this list, that includes Winnemac. At 11:55 Eastern Time, you want to get into your safe place now. This is more than enough lead time. In fact, the worst of the storms have yet to move into Michigan City, into LaPorte, even into South Bend, Elkhart, Osceola, and Goshen. Now we can see the lightning, we can hear the thunder, and at times it has downpoured in those locations. But in terms of the tornado warning, the worst of this line is just now moving through Valpo. In fact, the university, Valparaiso University, their meteorology department sent up a weather balloon before all of this unfolded to sample the atmosphere. You want to talk about dedication to try and understand, but also get a future or forecast together to help warn people of tonight. That is it. Again, that weather balloon being sent up, a National Weather Service looking at some of that data and helping to kind of paint this picture of the environment that these storms are working with. So again, a tornado warning issued for a large portion of Michiana. And this is going to be the case as we go through the night tonight. I haven't seen any signs that would suggest that this is just going to fall apart and we're going to be done with the severe weather threat. I mentioned this at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock when we were first alerting you to about 2 hours where we're going to be looking at the severe weather potential, whether that is straight line winds or even a possibility of tornadoes. And again, right now, it's not just 1 or 2 cells that are rotating. It is an entire line that has the potential for a tornado warning to be on there. So I've seen a number of situations in regards to like storm chasing and stuff like that where you have the individual cells. This is a different beast, a completely different beast in regards to how big that tornado warning is. What do you got here?
Power outages.
Power outages. Okay, thank you so much. Fantastic. Okay. So one of the reasons why we tell you to get to 3 different ways to get watch and warning information and why we tell you to charge your cell phones, the reason is right here. We already have about 3,500 total customers without power at this hour. And that's before this main line works in and across Michiana. And so hopefully you got the first alert this past weekend that today was going to be an active night. You're able to kind of pick up the yard, but also just prepare for an active night. Tornado warnings all across portions of Michiana, and that's coming. Chicago, the Windy City, had tornado warnings in a very similar fashion that worked from the west to the east. So we have been on this, not for minutes, but for hours trying to get Michiana, trying to get you ready for a very active night. Now, I'm not talking about duration. I'm talking about 2 hours where we really have to pay attention and know when to get into a safe place. And as of right now, I wouldn't be surprised if nearly half of Michiana is going to need to be in their safe place, because that's kind of the trend that these tornado warnings are taking, and that it does not take much for some of these to show signs of spin or rotation. I'm leaving this up here for a long time for good reason. I don't want to take this down without making sure that every one person can go ahead and take precautions, get into the safest place of their home, as many walls in between you and the outside, away from windows. If you have a basement, get down in the basement. I've mentioned this before, old bike helmets, they're useful in these kind of situations. When you have 70 to 75 mile per hour winds coming through, like what we have on this leading edge, or the possibility of a tornado, any kind of protection, especially for your head, can go a long way. The other part of it is mattresses in the bathroom. If you have time to prepare with this list, you should have time to prepare to get into a safe place. Maybe grab a mattress with you as well, just to be safe. It's only for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Once we get done with this active night, I promise you the next few days are going to feel a lot different. And in terms of storm anxiety, we come way down, and we're just going to first alert you to low humidity and cooler temperatures rather than what you're seeing on the screen here. So again, we're looking at this tornado warning. That was the most recent one that has been issued. I want to get right back up towards LaPorte and Michigan City and time that out as well with the latest on that warning. So let me go ahead and adjust this just really quickly. And we'll make sure that everybody has the information they need, again, on an active Monday night. And that's in regards to not only the weather, but just in general, this past week, the amount of rain that we've had with the flash flooding, and also the flooding in general going back to last week, the thunderstorms the last couple of days. So it has been one active week in and across Michiana. So let me go over to here and check out the storm reports. The other thing I wanted to do, always helpful to verify if we are actually starting to see, yeah, they're starting to come in. These little red dots that we got back over here towards Chicago, back into Illinois, these are storm reports coming in, but they're tornado storm reports. So some of these tornado warnings have verified with tornadoes, or at least reports are coming in that not only has there been storm damage from strong straight line winds, but also the possibility of tornadoes as well. So going back to the warning map, so again, that line is moving at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. I like to give as much lead time as possible with these kind of systems, as they do move fairly quickly. Now, the amount of rainfall on the other side of this is going to be very impressive. I'm not talking about a half an inch or even an inch of rainfall. This is, let's get this bow right here. Okay, it's going to move to the east. It's about 50. Okay. So extend this out to the east. I'm not talking about a half an inch or an inch of rainfall. This would be 3-4 inches of rainfall, not out of the question, not only within here, but here as well. There is going to be more rain training in behind it. Won't be severe, but the flooding concern will start to outweigh the severe weather concern as we get closer to about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Top left corner of your screen, what I'm tracking is a tornado warning. Port, Knox, Plymouth, South Bend, Granger, Elkhart, throw Osceola in there. We need to start thinking about getting into a, don't even think about it, just get into your safe place. This is no longer a tornado watch. This is a tornado warning. When you hear warning, you need to take action. And at this point, there are already some power outages back into Elkhart, Middlebury, Barron, and Cass County at about 3,500 total customers. That was from the earlier thunderstorm that you're seeing back up here, kind of drift off to the north and to the northeast. So again, the tornado warning, that storm, that line is still working into LaPorte, still working into Knox, still working into South Bend. What we're doing is giving you as much lead time as possible to be safe and get into a safe place. I wouldn't even think about trying to go out, driving in the next hour, hour and a half. This line extends all the way up to Berrien, Cass County, all the way down here to the south, and it is going to be a mess on the roads with torrential downpours, frequent lightning strikes, gusty winds, you name it. We're going to go through it tonight. We are going to go through it together. So please bear with me. And I've mentioned it before. If you see friends or family that live in these locations, give them a call. They may have went to bed at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., maybe fast asleep. The cell phone's right next to them. Give them a call. Wake them up. Tell them to get into a safe place. Plymouth at about 12:11. That's going to be Eastern time. So again, time now 11:35. South Bend at 12:21. So that's a tornado warning. Melissa's over at the desk. Melissa, I'm going to tell you now to go back into the newsroom. Continue to watch this. But you and Frank and whoever else is back in the newsroom, you want to get into a safe place as well. Give it about, well, 12:21. But please, go back to the newsroom, let them know that you may want to go ahead and take cover or at least get into a safe place here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So that tornado warning, you just heard the buzzer over there here at the station at WNDU. That tornado warning has been extended back out here to the east to include, as expected, to include South Bend, Granger, Elkhart with that tornado warning. So at this time, nearly all of Michiana is under a tornado warning tonight. It's 11:36 on this Monday, and I would just go ahead and start taking the necessary precautions to get into a safe place. If you can, grab a pillow, head on into the bathroom, turn the volume all the way up on the TV so you can still hear us, or if you have the weather app, the First Alert Weather app, you can follow the radar right along with me. This is turning into quite the situation in and across Michiana, not because of the tornado warnings that have been issued, but the number of people in our community that could be impacted by strong winds and severe weather. So top left corner of your screen, this central time, 10:42 LaPorte, Knox, 10:47. In fact, let me turn the radar off. We all know it is bad. That's what it looks like. But what I want to make sure we know is when it's going to impact us. This is more than enough lead time to get into a safe place. With the newest tornado warning that has just been issued, we want to go ahead and make sure we take the necessary precautions. You look at this map, and it's a mess. You got the purple, which is going to be a tornado warning, and the yellow, which is your severe thunderstorm warning. Even without the tornado warning, I'd still ask you to get into a safe place, as the severe thunderstorm warnings have had a history of strong winds greater than 60 miles per hour. So any way we look at it, we want to get into a safe place. And I'm going to be here with you through the duration of this. The good news is you can already see the back edge of these watches, or these warnings, I should say, starting to expire. So give me an hour and a half. Get into a safe place. If you have friends or family that may have fallen asleep the last couple of hours or so, may not be aware of what's going on, and their city is on this list, give them a call tonight. Knox, 10:47, Central Time. Plymouth, 12:11, South Bend, 12:21. What this means is the strongest winds, the heaviest rainfall, and the greatest potential for a tornado is set to come through. It's 11:38. that lead time is more than enough to get into a safe place, make the necessary arrangements. This isn't 2 or 3 minutes for South Bend or Granger or Elkhart. This is a number of minutes, in fact, a half hour, to go ahead and get into a safe place if you can with this system coming through. So again, this is moving to the east fairly quickly at about 50 miles per hour, which means the threat is going to come fast and it's going to leave fast as well. Now, once we get on the other side of it, it is more about the rainfall and the flash flooding potential in the wake of this system. So let me go zoom this map all the way back out. So we've covered the tornado warnings. I'm going to go back to them to make sure that we can time those out appropriately. But I want to show you kind of the grand scheme or the grand scale of this system as it started off back to the west and worked to the east. As we go ahead and zoom this map all the way back out, this also includes lightning strikes. The 3,500 lightning strikes that have already been reported in and across Michiana has nothing to do with that line coming through. I anticipate that number, 3,500, to be even higher as this line works across Michiana. That came from this severe thunderstorm warning right up here that developed out ahead of this main line and is now working off to the north and to the northeast. Check out the comparison in the amount of lightning strikes here to there. That is a telltale sign that this is a straight line wind event with possibility of some embedded tornadoes. So you got 1, you got 2, and then this is your Tuesday morning. Not necessarily expecting it to rain. Say it again. Okay, thanks. This is going to be our Tuesday morning, and that flash flooding is going to be a concern overnight tonight and into your Tuesday. So let me go back and show you what we have with that tornado warning. There's multiple tornado warnings at this hour, including a few that have now been confirmed. So this is more than just Doppler radar. So let me go ahead and track this out again. Moving at about 50 miles per hour. Notice Rochester, this is what I was talking about earlier. Rochester, we're not in the tornado warning. We're not in the purple box, but you got the yellow, which is the severe thunderstorm warning. So it doesn't really matter at this point. Get into a safe place because you could have a tornado that comes through with winds 85, 90 miles per hour, or you may even have straight line winds that could approach 70, 75 miles per hour. And at this time, I do expect this tornado warning that you see towards Winnemac to be extended deeper out here to the east. Just the way things are starting to unfold with what I'm seeing here on the radar and the overall signature, it's going to be tough to go ahead and just eliminate the tornado warning. I expect that to be extended, so eventually we're going to go ahead and get that on there as well. So let me go back. Again, this is moving at about 50 miles per hour. I do have some water. Just kind of anticipated this it being a pretty active night tonight. So I'm moving at about 50 miles per hour, and I just want to make sure this map is as clean as possible to give you as much lead time and information as possible. I'm not going to dilute this with a lot of radar or velocity data or the debris signatures. The information that you need to stay safe is now on your screen. The tornado warning, the most recent one, as well as a little bit of an older one, are included in this list. North Liberty at 11:42 Eastern Time. South Bend at about 11:55. So that gives us another 13 minutes in South Bend to get into a safe place. Now this is going to be the start of the strongest wind, the heaviest rain, and the potential for a tornado. Now, Granger at 12:05 Eastern Time. Napanee at 12:15. We're past midnight. Elkhart at 12:16 as this works to the east fairly quickly at about 50 miles per hour. And again, those severe thunderstorm warnings, just looking up at another map up here that I have, those severe thunderstorm warnings are still going in portions of Berrien and Cass County. So either way, we're looking at some areas under severe thunderstorm warning, others under a tornado warning. There are a few gaps here and there. Napanee, Warsaw, I'm looking at you. Just give it some time and prepare now for that warning to be extended into your location. LaGrange, same situation. At this point, we've kind of avoided this severe thunderstorm warning in LaGrange, but as this works to the east, it's going to be one or two things. Either the severe thunderstorm warning for us or a tornado warning. So start preparing now. Time now about 11:43. You got another 14 minutes, I should say 12 minutes or so for South Bend. Granger at 12:05 in the morning. Napanee at about 12:15. Elkhart at 12:16 as we go into tomorrow morning. This is not a situation where we're dealing with tornado warnings for 4, 5, 6 hours. This is going to be a small window where, the storm anxiety is going to go to the max for about an hour to 2 hours and then come crashing back down because the severe weather threat is going to end quickly and swiftly. What isn't going to end is we're just going to shift from severe weather to flooding potential on the other side of this line. You felt that air earlier today. You felt that moisture in the atmosphere. Mother Nature is rain out that sponge, and it is going to come down in buckets, if not already. We got a primer with that earlier this evening, and back up here into Bear and Cass County. That's a flash flood warning that is still in effect with the kind of rain that came through, and there's endless supply at this point, amount of rainfall that could come through between now and 3 o'clock in the morning. Early estimates that I'm looking at over here would put us in kind of that 2 to 3 inch range. On the low side, depending on how things come together, it may even get 1 inch to 2 inches just in this initial band. So what you have on your screen here, that is the tornado warning, the most active, or I should say the latest tornado warning issued across the area. If your cell phone went off the last 10 minutes or so with a tornado warning and you went over to the First Alert weather forecast here on WNDU, this is why. A tornado warning has been issued. It was, we've been following it back into Illinois and Chicago, working from the west to the east, and we are on the leading edge, giving you as much time as possible to go ahead and get into a safe place. I do have some good news. I just saw it trimmed back. This purple box has just now been trimmed back. So Valpo is no longer under that tornado warning. So that kind of gives you an idea that this is going to end sooner rather than later in regards to the tornado warning, the severe weather threat, or even the severe thunderstorm warning. Now let me go ahead and check the radar really quickly and get a better sense of where we are. So in terms of what are called inflow notches. I don't want to go too deep into this, but right in here, just north of Knox, south of LaPorte, what you're seeing is that air kind of being pulled back in and then twisting back up onto the northern fringe. There's also a term called bookend vortices that can cause tornadoes to form in these kind of situations. This is not one of those supercells, one of those storm chasing type cells. This is linear, which means you get quick spin-ups, and that's why we have large tornado warnings rather than very specific tornado warnings. And that's why a large area is warned more so than just a small cell or two. But look at the difference. The number of lightning strikes back up here towards the north and to the northeast, and then you come back down here to the south and to the southwest. That is a signature that would indicate straight line winds, heavy downpours, and as we've already had possibly 1 or 2 confirmations of a tornado on the ground, tornadoes as well. Severe weather threats are all on the table. You need to stay home tonight for at least the next couple of hours to let this leading line pass through. But please keep in mind that on the other side of the severe weather threat, we are looking at the possibility for some flash flooding. Roadways, much like last week, certain roads could be covered with water. Turn around, don't drown. Let me put this into motion and get a sense of the overall movement. And no surprise here. This is moving from west to east. We've been first alerting you to this going all the way back to 6 o'clock, that the dominoes would start in Iowa and fall as it worked to the east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. Now, at this point, haven't had much in the way of damage reports come in, mainly because anybody that would bring me a damage report from the newsroom, they're rightfully so taking cover as we are under a tornado warning right now as well. So I'm keeping my ear up as well as watching this radar to get a better sense on if I need to take cover as well. As of right now, the newsroom and the staff, they are in a safe place. They are taking cover because we are under a tornado warning. I'm going to stay on as long as possible. And of course, I'm going to stay safe as well based on what I'm seeing with the radar. But again, want to make sure everybody gets the information they need to stay safe tonight. Again, First Alert Weather Day for today, we knew it was going to be active, and we are right in the middle of it. We're going to have another hour, maybe hour and a half, where we have the severe weather coming through. Check out the back edge. At this point, I can start to say we are clear from the severe weather threat, not quite into LaPorte. It is the worst it is going to get in LaPorte, in Knox right now. Plymouth, we got another 2 to 3 minutes before that wind starts to kick up and the rain will start to come down. Berrien and Cass County, it is felt like it has been bad for the last 2 to 3 hours. We had an initial thunderstorm kick up a little bit ago, or 2 to 3 hours ago, and it has continued to just kind of regenerate, and now we have that main line coming through. Check out what's behind here. There's a lot of rainfall back off to the west. So again, there's a look at the radar. I just wanted a quick look to kind of get a sense of where we are and where we're going with this. But I want to get right back into the watch and warning information so we know with the tornado warnings, once again, where we're extending things out. So again, the latest update is that purple line is now towards Elkhart, Goshen, down here to Warsaw, and down here to the south does now include Rochester. We're overlapped in Rochester with a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning for different parts of the system. The yellow boxes back up here, that is where we have more of a light, possibly hail and flash flooding concern with the severe thunderstorm warning just north of LaGrange. Mentioned this earlier, Goshen and LaGrange, while we're not officially under that tornado warning, Warsaw, I'll throw you in there as well. Give it another 10 to 15 minutes. I expect this to be extended out. Even if it is not extended, it is going to be an active night tonight in your location. So let me go ahead and put this, put the lightning back on. And you can see where that main line, heaviest right down here in between Knox and Winnemac, with, again, the strongest wind, downpours, lightning strikes, very frequent, and then back up here into South Bend, Elkhart. This is all kind of drifting off to the north and the northeast. It is this line right here that has a severe weather threat in regards to possible tornadoes. The tornado warning has to do with this line right back here. And we're analyzing this just looking at lightning data. If I flip on the live radar, track this out, moving about 50 miles per hour to the east. And typically, when I use this product, get that off of there. There we go. Typically, when I use this product, this it's called a squall line. It does not have to do with tornado warnings, but this is one of those very unusual situations where the entire line has the potential to be tornadic, or at least parts of it could be tornadic, which is why we're having to use that squall line more so than anything else. So this entire line right here does have a tornado warning on it. And I imagine as we go deeper into the rest of the night tonight, or even the early morning hours, that it'll get extended. That tornado warning will get extended back off to the east. So let me go zoom this out, get a little bit better picture, because I want to fill the entire tornado warning, that entire gap, to let you know when to expect the worst. So this is moving to the east, like I mentioned, at about 50 miles per hour. This is right there. This will extend farther than the tornado warning. The list is there on your screen. And one thing that I never want to get away from is showing that too much. Plymouth, 12:03. South Bend at about 12:05. So that gives us another 10 minutes or so, depending on what part of the cell or the system, the line that we're tracking. You got this back up here to the north. This is more of a traditional thunderstorm that has developed out ahead of the wind and tornado threat, which is right back out here to the east. That is what I'm tracking in regards to the strongest winds as well as the tornado threat, right in this purple box. So again, South Bend, we may be feeling already that heavy downpour, seeing frequent lightning strikes, maybe some gusty winds, but the main threat is still back out here to the east. Plymouth, it says 12:03. Give it another 5 minutes or so. I think by 12:03, it's not that we'll be getting into it. We'll be in it at 12:03 in Plymouth in regards to the strong straight line winds. Now, what this doesn't show are the winds. What we're seeing here is the concentration. Let me turn the radar off just to clean the map up. We're seeing the concentration of raindrops coming back from the Doppler radar. It kind of gives us a sense on where those raindrops are going. When we show velocity data, it shows us whether or not they're coming towards or going away from the radar, then indicating a tornado. But what those the raindrops the high concentration raindrops really aren't showing is how fast that wind is moving to the east. And the tornado warning is one of those indications that suggests those raindrops are being picked up by some significant wind, whether it is a tornado or straight line winds with all the way up here, Michigan, Indiana border, all the way down here to the south. That is an entire tornado warning. Nearly half of Michiana on this first alert weather day on this Monday night, early Tuesday morning, is under a tornado warning at this hour. South Bend at about 12:05 is when the wind will start to kick up. We've already had reports that say Melissa, point over here, but she is back in the newsroom in a safe place because we're under a tornado warning here in South Bend. But the sirens were going off to alert of the impending danger, and severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued back up here to the north as well, but also down here to the south. So a tornado warning, whether it is a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, this has always been a high wind threat, a strong wind threat for Michiana during the hour and a half to 2 hours that we're going to be dealing with some of this weather. So again, so moving off to the east at about 50 to 50 miles per hour, we still have a number of locations still under that tornado warning. This goes out to Warsaw at about 12:40. So that gives you nearly an hour before that main line moves in. If I turn the, let's go with the lightning. Turn the lightning back on, you can see that the main line is right back here, Warsaw. Give it another 45 minutes or so to get into a safe place. Now, we're not officially, both Warsaw and Syracuse, not officially under the tornado warning, but that does not mean it won't get extended that way. And it is very important now, especially if you have friends or family that you're going to give a quick call to say, you may experience some bad weather tonight. If they're in Warsaw or Syracuse, it's basically a kind of a warning to say, get ready. You're not under one now, but your phone, your weather radio may go off in the next 10 minutes or so as that line approaches from the west to the east. Interesting enough is I'm seeing quite the gap in lightning strikes between the severe thunderstorm warnings back up here to the north, which is kind of your more traditional thunderstorms, heavy rain, strong wind gusts, maybe even some hail, although it is a very warm environment for hail to be a big threat. But there's a gap here in the lightning and then concentrating down here towards the south, which again would indicate the strongest part of the system in regards to convection, the thunderstorm continuing to maintain its strength, is going to be over Winnemac. We could have some numerous lightning strikes, but also power outages from the lightning, but also the wind. And then also there you go. Yeah, a severe thunderstorm warning was just extended out here to the east with what we were just seeing there on the radar. So again, this is still associated with those straight line wind gusts. It's still associated with that tornado warning. We got kind of two separate things that we're monitoring that we're first alerting you to on this Monday night. That is a lot of lightning. We were at, Goshen, Elkhart, Bristol, Cass County. We were at about 3,500 total customers without power about an hour and a half ago at 11, actually earlier than that, about an hour ago. With this amount of lightning and the wind and rain that was associated with those thunderstorms, I can only imagine that number is going to be going up. So again, right now we're at about 3,500. That was about an hour ago. I anticipate that to go even higher. So let me show you kind of what we have with the radar. The much wider perspective. So I'm going to take this off really quickly and then get right back in to the tornado warnings. And we're about 4 minutes from midnight on this Monday. And you can see what I was just talking about, the gap. Strong thunderstorms, strong to severe thunderstorms back up here towards Berrien and Cass County, not quite into Elkhart and Goshen or South Bend. That main line right here, that is your wind threat and your tornado threat that is moving to the east. Not a lot of lightning associated with it, and you typically don't, especially when you get squall lines or derechos. You don't get a lot of convection or lightning, but there's enough in there to sustain the strength and keep this engine chugging to the east with a 65, 70, possibly even 75 mile per hour straight line winds. So like I said, the wider perspective, let's go all the way out, kind of show you what we have as a whole. This was well forecasted. This is something that we're monitoring the last couple of days, but also the Storm Prediction Center was monitoring this as well, possibly forming into a line, a bow echo ratio. Of course, that's going to come later, working to the east. Now, I don't want to get too caught up in what we're seeing on the radar. If I go to the Type 5. What we're seeing on the radar, I want to get right back down into those warnings, but you can kind of get a sense that we're on the northern side of this bow that is going to be working to the east. It's going to flush out those thunderstorms, those severe thunderstorms through Berrien and Cass County, right along this leading edge as we go a little bit back closer to home. Right along that leading edge is where we have that wind threat that is just now starting to come into South Bend. That's going to be moving into Plymouth. Now, I'd like to zoom in at times when we have tornado warnings. We'll zoom in, we'll analyze what's going on with the velocity, but at this point, the tornado warnings are too big. That warning is so big that I want to make sure everybody can get into a safe place that needs to, more so than me just standing here saying, yeah, maybe there's a tornado here. So